My name is Nogueiro. I'm an organization development consultant. I've been at Gunnarsson for about 12 years in various nursing and education roles. My ethnic heritage originates from India, on the west coast of India in a state called Goa, which was colonized by the Portuguese in the early 1600s. So it has a lot of Portuguese influence, and for over 400 years they were a colony to Portugal. So with that, we took on a lot of the Portuguese culture and the names and the foods, and also with that came missionaries who were Christian, so typically Catholic, and so a lot of the people from that region are Christian. And from there, through migration, so there was a lot of trade between India and the east coast of Africa, particularly Mozambique, which was also a Portuguese colony. And so my great-great-grandparents were involved in some trade on the ships, and they worked on the ships. And then they also kind of were looking for a new life, a better life, so they settled in Mozambique, and then eventually kind of migrated more inland into what is known as Zimbabwe right now. And so that's where my family settled. And so I'm third generational Zimbabwean Indian. And so that's kind of some of the influence of my background and where I come from. In Zimbabwe, we had a group of Goan community members, so we'd often get together for cultural events and socials and share food and kind of dance together, and any kind of festivities that we had, we'd try to get together. Zimbabwe has also two predominant tribes, so the Shona people and the Ndebele people, as well as other people that migrated from other parts of the world, so from Europe and Asia and China and Philippines, as well as people from the Middle East. So from my experience there, growing up in Harare, which is the capital city, I really had some kind of exposure to other cultures. One part of the Zimbabwean history too is that it was also a British colony. And so with that, there were kind of assimilations to British culture as well. Zimbabwe was also kind of segregated at one point in time and became independent in 1980. I think, really that experience of like my grandparents and my parents kind of migrating and moving to a new place and finding new opportunities, and also my own kind of migration story here to the U.S. Kind of brought some of those experiences with me, and an understanding, as well as kind of an empathy for others that might be going through some change in their life, or having some difficulties, maybe transitioning to a new culture. The healthcare culture in itself can be kind of daunting and unfamiliar. And when I think back to my own kind of experiences with coming into a new culture and having that kind of ability to put myself in their shoes and try to identify with them and find ways in which I can help support them, or let's say think of ways in which I might be able to interact with a patient that might be kind of stressed or feeling really uncomfortable with the situation they're in. I found myself in the past like asking them, what do you do at home that really makes you feel more relaxed or find comfort? And then through that, I'm able to kind of try to incorporate what they're sharing with me into the care that I provide. I would say, really finding those small moments, in everyday opportunities to connect with others, because you never know when that moment is like a significant moment for someone. And, if you're kind of watching their face and their expression and kind of seeing like, oh, they're struggling a little bit here. I particularly had this experience the other day. I was walking through the hallways past the cafeteria, and I happened to be walking past an elderly gentleman who, when I kind of looked over at him, he was kind of hunched over and he looked kind of sad. So I just asked, how's your day going? And he, opened up and shared with me that his wife was in the emergency room overnight, and some of the things that he had been experiencing through that, and shared some of his emotion around that, and really gave him the opportunity to kind of let that off his shoulders, I think, because once he did that, I noticed like a change in expression for him. He wasn't so hunched over, and that was almost an experience of relief in a way, just to have that opportunity for someone to listen to him. So I would say, find those little moments with others that you might encounter in everyday life. So that would be one thing. Another thing is that, what I found is that everybody kind of has some of those joys in life and some of those maybe challenges. And it's really been for me, like through the support of others, family and friends, to help kind of guide and support through their spirit of encouragement, that has really kind of help me through some of those challenges, and also celebrate those joys that I've had in my life. And you never know when you might be that person to be able to bring that to somebody else. So just kind of taking that as your strength to give to somebody else.